Studio podcast, the only podcast.
Only podcast. Only podcast.
I like the echo.
The only podcast.
Oh, no. It's kind of a freaky echo now. I'm Danny Hatch. I'm here with Eli Levy.
Hello.
Eli, it's been a while since I asked you this. How's that Mark Maron shit ticket book treating you?
We're in parenting right now.
Parenting. How much more of the book do you have to go?
I don't know how many subjects a man could possibly cover in a podcast. Right?
Versatile, baby. Any good tips? Any good parenting nuggets? While you're making your own nuggets?
So far the tip was to love your child.
Okay.
So if you're thinking of having kids, Danny, remember to love them.
To some might seem obvious, but it's always good to be reminded of that.
Don't hate them.
Is there anything about...
Our special guest today is Rick Jenkins. Childless, barren. Welcome to the show, Rick. You're the owner and operator of the comedy studio, a real comedy club, we swear.
Thank you so much. Is there anything in there about, like, grieving or loss that would be...
What, like losing a child?
No, the fact that he lost his partner recently. I'm wondering if he had written anything about it before.
Well, we haven't gotten to grief and loss yet, so that's probably coming up later, if it's in there. I haven't checked the table of contents. I kind of just sit on the toilet and do my business, and I think Danny's doing a gag with his phone right now.
What? No, Rosa said she couldn't hear me on the feed, and so I was trying to tell her that telling me, unfortunately, is not the way to resolve that.
Oh, shit. 1 sec.
So that's the gag. What were we saying about grief? Rick, do you want to have kids? Let's shy away from grief.
Yeah, I think that ship has sailed. One of
You
those
could adopt like a 14-year-old.
one of those I look back and that'd be very creepy.
Only because you just said it would be. Up till now, it was almost sweet.
No, I sort of look back and go like, yeah, how did that never happen? I don't know.
Did you?
You live day by day, and all of a sudden you look back and go, "Wow, that was a life."
Yeah, you've had a relatively full life. You don't need to add kids to the mix.
You can wrap it up now, sure.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's like a hat on a hat to have lived your life and also bring children into the world.
Okay.
And now Eli is muted.
Are you thinking about
Sorry.
it, Danny?
About having kids?
Yeah, you have a partner. You have a pretty stable set life.
Maybe one day, but not now. Definitely not now. I'm thinking like minimum 7 years away.
And that
And I
would
wanna
put you
have-
in your mid-30s?
But you want to have kids?
I don't know. I think I would be too afraid of them like getting hurt or dying. You know what I mean?
I mean, you seem to have done well with the cat. That's a good starter.
Yeah, the cat
That's
is
like
so
a training session.
Yeah, but it's not. It's like having a kid on cheat code. It's such like she's so low maintenance. We've been thinking about getting a kitten, which would be like, I think, orders of magnitude more work than we do for the cat right now. Like a kitten, you really got to make sure they don't die, right? I mean,
I mean, yes.
I feed the cat. She has food and water. We play with her. Other than that, she's pretty self-sufficient.
So what
My
you're thinking
fear is that a kid would be more work.
Does Rosa want kids?
Probably. Hey, Rose.
Let's
Had a baby.
talk about it right now.
I don't think she wants him right now. What about you, Eli? You
Yeah.
gonna start pumping out some
I
snot-nosed brats?
I don't think I want kids, but I also don't know. I've only been dating a woman for like months now.
You should ask her now. You should call her on the phone.
Well,
and
she
say,
has a lot of medical school to go through before that's
okay,
even an
that's right.
option.
Yeah. As you start dating, does that like even come up? Is it like
Kids? No.
like marriage, kids? It's just sort of like, well, let's just.
Those
think
things
for a
have
while.
not coming up yet. The things that are coming up right now are whether or not we want to move in together. That's the next step. You don't skip that and go straight to kids.
Yeah, you take it step by step.
Now, who would
Usually,
be
yeah.
Moving in? Would you be moving into her place? Would she be moving into your place, or would you get a place together?
Neither. She's already re-signed her lease, and I asked if she wanted to move in. She said she doesn't like my room because there's not a lot of sunlight.
Okay, so you would be moving into her place then.
No, I'm not moving in.
Oh, okay. But if it were to happen,
My place is so much nicer than her place, despite the lack of sunlight. Yeah.
well,
I vote very, very strongly in terms of getting a place together, something different. I think that was one of the big mistakes or big issues in my marriage, was that I was renting and she owned, so it only made sense to move in. But that was always just a little thing that it didn't really, it was always her place that I was in instead
We'll move in together eventually. It's just this next year, I don't think it's going to happen.
well, I'm in Rose's place.
Yep.
Should I be concerned?
I don't know. I just
I mean,
Hang on, let's just wait 30 seconds for the feed to catch up, and she'll tell me herself.
yeah, it was just one of those little things that, looking back, I think was a mistake.
Sure. Well, I'm sorry that you were made to feel that way in your own home, because it was your home. And I, for the record, don't feel that way in mine. I do in her other place. my
Hers.
God.
I'm thrilled with my new apartment. I have
Good.
an office, I have a bedroom, I have a kitchen. Everything is great. I couldn't believe what a terrific deal it was. And now that lockdown is over, the 6-story hotel that's being built next door begins construction every morning at 7:30. And I realized, that's what it was.
That's why it was so cheap.
Yeah, so I went down and got earplugs today.
You know, I started wearing earplugs pretty recently in my sleep. It really made a difference for me. It made it a lot easier for me to fall asleep.
Do you have issues with sleep?
Yeah, I do too much of it.
Any trouble getting to sleep?
Yeah, sometimes I have a hard time falling asleep. I also look at my phone in bed, which I know is, which doesn't help.
Yeah, screens are bad.
But Rosa suggested I try earplugs because she wears earplugs, or earplug because she's deaf in one ear, and it's nice. It really feels like it just aided me in drifting off.
Yeah, how about an update on the weighted blanket?
An update on it. We haven't used it in a long time. It's somewhere in our closet. It's a little too oppressive.
Oppressive?
Yeah, it's it's 40 pounds of hug. And you don't always want to be hugged all night.
I don't think I'd get the weighted blanket.
Yeah.
What's that?
Not a temperature thing? Not that, it's warm now, so we don't need it?
No, because it's been in the closet for a while, even since before it got warm. Maybe we should break it out again. I don't know. It's so hot though.
Use it for home defense. Set it up as a net. Throw it on an intruder.
Just hope they walk into it. No, it's actually you fold that thing in half on itself, and you really feel it when it's on top of you.
Oh yeah.
This cannot be considered compelling, can it?
The weighted blanket. I'll say this: when we did acid
Anything we talked about yet.
when we did acid at my house a while ago, me and my roommates, one of my roommates put on the weighted blanket and then cried.
You did acid at your house.
That was a while ago. Yeah, March.
March.
A long time ago.
Yeah, I mean, it does feel like it was, but it. What was this pre-lockdown?
No, it was like right as.
Right as
It was like,
lockdown
well,
started?
we were all our roommates were all like, well, we're locked in together, so let's bond.
Might as well take some extremely intense drugs.
Yeah, we bought a bunch of art stuff, like canvases, paints. It was all like super cheap. Like all the art stores were like getting rid of everything, like for like 75% off. So we got like a bunch of canvases, paints, paintbrushes, clay, different fun stuff, and then we just did art. We like covered all of our tables and stuff in like plastic wrap, so it was easy cleanup.
Do you still have the art you made?
Yeah, it's hanging up in our apartment.
It's hanging up, so it made it to the walls.
Some of it's good stuff.
Is this
Some
your
of it.
first time doing acid?
Yes,
What's your take?
I liked
try
it. I liked it. I liked it a lot. Well, I mean, it's I've heard it's a lot better than. Well, it's different from mushrooms in the fact that when you take acid, it like floods you with what's the
Serotonin.
serotonin? Yeah, it like you feel happy, whereas mushrooms don't do that. So there's a chance that you can have. There's more of a chance of having a bad trip because you're not flooded with the serotonin on mushrooms. So I think I'm more in the realm of the acid, but I don't want to like do it all the time. I'm not going to fry my brain.
No, that's it's like dessert. You can only
Yeah.
have it once a night.
Well,
Not
a lot of
multiple
talk
times.
about using it for treating depression. It seems like, within a year or two, they'll be almost standard.
Well, microdosing has a lot of proven benefits. I've heard.
Yeah. You've had you've tried acid and mushrooms, and you've
I haven't done mushrooms.
I'm talking Danny. You've had
Oh,
bouts of depression and have used those drugs. Do you have any feeling of the therapeutic effect?
Well, I've never taken acid. I have taken mushrooms. I would not personally elect to use psilocybin to treat my depression because it's pretty intense stuff. So I don't know how they would administer it. I don't know what dose and how they would control things, but with mushrooms, I always have a grand old time for the first half, and then the second half is when my brain starts to go into places. Or if I'm having, any negative thought, then you fixate. For me, at least, I fixate on it after a certain point on the mushrooms.
Like
Well-
emotional thoughts or
Yeah.
I will say one of the best advice I got before we did the acid was to turn my phone off and lock it away somewhere in a box that I wasn't going to touch.
Yes, this is ringing a bell now. That's smart. That's smart. Good advice. Rick, I really think to raise money,
Is this
you
more
should.
compelling?
What's that?
Is this more compelling?
Yeah, probably. It's all
I think it's about to be. I want to hear more. Go on.
You should take every drug and and film yourself. And we should put it up on Boxcast, take it at an event. It costs $69.69.
Perfect.
You watch Rick take every drug known to man. And not even like the the fucking weird ones you can only get off the dark net. Like 2CB, whatever that is.
Does that include prescription drugs?
Yes, it does.
Every prescription known to
actually
mankind.
Yes, you'll work your way through.
We'll
all
do
the
it
prescriptions.
alphabetical.
Yes, and then once you've had xylitol or whatever the last one is, we'll switch you over to marijuana, and you can see how they compare.
Yeah. Then we'll do each drug mentioned in Gary Goldman's act,
And then cocaine.
and then
Nice.
then we'll do bum fights.
What are bum fights?
Bum fights are an underground thing where they give like two bums some drugs and they fight, and it gets really, really gruesome. And then they share these videos or sell them.
Where
So
can
knew
I
what
find
that
these
was.
videos?
It's not a drug.
No, but I'm saying once we run out of drugs.
Oh, you'll be long dead. You won't have time for bum fights. This is clearly the mind of a child when it comes to the way drugs work. Right?
Yeah, you think you're gonna make it through?
I'm guessing, to be honest, that you'll be tapped out halfway through the alphabet of prescription drugs. You won't even
Yeah, I'm
make it.
guessing
to
that's
that.
Oh, thank you. I couldn't have another
probably
bite.
gonna
Thank
do
you. I'm
it.
full.
Like, boy, my stomach hurts.
I'm out. I'm calling it. But really, Rick, I think you should try them all. What do you got? It's not like you have kids or anything.
True. Yeah.
Do you consider, I know you do, but we'll talk about it anyway. Do you consider the comedians your children?
The lockdown has been really, really terrific in that it's given me a lot of time to, to think and do therapy and all that sort of stuff. And I don't think I see them as kids, but I do see it as community. That's my new thing. Is I think I've developed community and connection through comedy shows. For me, the comedy shows is how I connect with people. I don't like calling people because I think I'm bothering them. But if I can get together a whole bunch of people for a comedy show, I feel like those are my people.
Mm-hmm. And you would say that you're sort of a father figure
I wouldn't be surprised if some people see me that way.
So you're saying we should change the name of the club to the Daddy Studio?
Daddy's home.
Da-
3.
Yeah, yeah, it's not something I actively pursue, but I can certainly imagine. Because most comedians, once we start, there's a little bit of a, searching for your way and how do you express yourself, and you know, there's a lot of development goes on during those ages when you first start doing comedy.
I used to hate phone calls when I was growing up, like calling anybody or getting a call from anybody. I used to hate it.
I still do. What changed for you?
Well, my one of my best friends, Jose, he lives in Los Angeles, so we met in college. So once we graduated, the only way to, contact him was phone call. He wouldn't really answer texts or because he would lose his phone a lot. But I would, I'd get his number and I'd call. He preferred talking anyway, so we call each other every now and then. Now I call Christakis every now and then. I don't know. I've gotten used to it, so I like the phone calls now. Not every phone call. There are a lot of phone calls I don't want to receive. But
I find my ADD or hyper or whatever you call it, I always would pace on phone because I would hate phone calls because I would have to sit still.
oh, I put in a headset and I go for a walk.
Pace, yeah.
Yeah, I go for put in a headset and I just go for a walk. Put on sunglasses.
That's a total game changer. I go all the way back to when, as Bethany Vidal says, the phone came out of the wall.
No, but
So did we. We had corded phones growing up, or I did at least. Eli, I'm sure you must have as well.
I remember the cordless.
Cordless. But did you have one of those springy cords that you could twirl around your finger? As you're talking to your
My
crush?
parents had one as decoration.
Huh.
But no, I think the first landline I remember was they had cordless phones. Because my dad is also a big pacer. Anytime he's on a business call, he's always like walking around the living room. So I think he needed the cordless.
How are your parents doing, Eli?
They're doing great. Both of them run their own businesses from home already, so they just work from home without any problem.
What's are they giving you dispatches from Tennessee? How it's handling the pandemic?
Tennessee's not handling it great. A lot of stuff is just open. Well, so the thing is like all the like family-owned businesses, like the mom and pop shops, they can't afford to run at half capacity like the big corporations can, so they just had to stay open. They weren't no one was forced to close, so they just stayed open because they had to. There's no other way. And then like the bigger restaurant that like were like big companies, they could afford to like do like these big like patio seatings and like curbside pickups, and they can afford to like take the loss. So
Speaking of patio seating, we will be possibly in the next month or so putting on some outdoor shows of our own with patio seating. We can't give many more details than that because we don't really have them. But what do you guys think about the prospect of getting to do
I'm getting a
comedy
phone call.
shows again?
1 second.
Not ideal. Outdoor shows are always difficult for comedy, but if it's what we got, it's what we got.
You of course remember when we did a bunch of outdoor shows while the club was being built. I hated them. and I said never again. I can't imagine any scenario in which once this club opens we'll have to do outdoor shows again. And now here we are.
Yeah, it was tough on I think Eli probably had it tougher than anybody just in terms of having to get all the technical stuff together.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
Yeah, especially when we had one that got rained out. Halfway through the show, all of a sudden the rain started pouring and we had to move everything inside.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
it was all
Sasha and I were like busting our asses trying to set
What is this Danny erasure? I'm the one who was nagging everyone to get inside. I moved on.
Well, that actually worked out because we moved everyone inside. Kathy still did her set.
And that's a great. She has a picture of it.
Yeah, she's still using that
to
photo.
promote her. Yeah. Rick, you were so. I remember that night so clearly. You were so ready. You were clearly annoyed at me, being like, "I keep seeing thunder and lightning. We gotta move inside."
Hello?
And now I just get erased from my own story. Yeah, outdoor shows. Good idea.
I think it's a good idea. I
As
mean,
long as they can be done safely.
well, yeah. I mean, a lot of places are doing it. I think it's a good way to be socially distant and still do a comedy show. It's summertime, so it's nice out. Otherwise, there'd be absolutely no point to doing an outdoor show if it wasn't nice out.
Yeah, although soon it's going to be. I mean, I assume we'll be doing these in the evening, but soon it will be hot. Unpleasant
Yeah.
to be outside with no prospect of air conditioning relief.
Yeah, there's a lot of uncertainty.
I mean,
Cold drinks. But,
Let's just quit.
you know,
I'm ready.
it sounds really nice to quit comedy sometimes.
Yeah. Well, like, let's be honest.
Boy, you
The
guys are
world-
what? 3 years in? 5 years in?
8 years, bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, 10 years. My first performance was about 10 years ago at my high school talent show.
Well, and that's part of my vision of it as almost like
pal.
a high school. You know, yeah, people come in all enthused and everything, and they learn some stuff, and they grow, and they
Hello?
educate, and they move along. And
What's going on?
you know, very few people have the kind of enthusiasm for the long haul that I do.
calling you.
Yeah, you're calling
You're
me
a
on the
lifer, Rick.
podcast.
Yeah,
But now
like I
it's
said,
fun.
that's
Danny
my
muted me.
identity. That is my connection.
What?
Oh,
What's
do
going
you want
on,
to say hi to
Eli?
everyone on the podcast, Rick Canavan?
Oh my god.
Nah, I think that's a great idea.
No?
Hi, Rick Canavan. What was that? What's going on? Everything's falling apart today.
Rick
I'm
Canavan-
hungover, and I feel like the podcast is too.
Canavan is listening to the podcast. He heard me say how much I love phone calls now, so he spammed me with phone calls.
Thanks for listening, Rick Canavan. We'd love to have you on whenever you want to be. We could give you the Zoom info so that you don't have to bother Eli. But I understand that that's part of the appeal, isn't it? Bothering Eli. We do, of course, use. If you listen to the podcast episode version of this podcast, you'll hear Rick's voice at the end. The pizza's ready. That's him. Our pizza's here. Our little stinger at the end that we put on there. That's from a video we discovered that he'd made. Do you want to tell the world about that video, Eli?
Yeah, so when we were like cleaning out the storage unit after we had packed it up from the old place, we found the old camera, and I didn't realize that in the old camera was an SD card that I didn't know was in there. So I decided to take it out and see what was on it. And besides, there was like a bunch of old photos in there and some memorabilia. There was a quick video on there that was like 30 seconds long that was of Rick Canavan going like, if you're seeing this video, it means they've already gotten me and it's too late. And then you just hear a doorbell ring and goes, ooh, pizza's here. And that's the video. He apparently they had like a lot of the comics had pulled together to buy that camera, and so Canavan thought it'd be funny to leave that video in there to see if anyone would find it. No one ever found it until I did.
The restraint that takes. There's the amount of respect I have for him for not telling anyone about that. I would have been screaming it from the roof. Hey, maybe check the SD card. I don't know. Might be something funny on there. I don't know. But the impressive restraint to not say anything. It's something I admire.
It's I can't believe nobody found it until I did.
Yeah.
Yep. For Halloween, he shaved his head and went as me.
A lot of people
Leather?
dress up as you in
I
costume.
was I was absolutely stunned.
Why don't we see more why don't we see you in movies? Why don't we see rip-offs of your whole deal in movies? You know what I mean? I guess there's the Dean from Community.
Yeah, geez, I don't know. You know, it's
Enough Hollywood people have come through the studio that surely they would have sucked into their subconscious the image you project.
yeah.
Why haven't we seen that reflected on
when I'm
screen?
feeling really shitty, I think I'm think exactly that. Like, yeah, with all the people I know on TV, and how not a walk-on Bob's Burgers, you know.
Oh, I don't mean you. I mean, why don't we see characters ripping off your whole deal?
Why isn't your look like a Hollywood thing yet?
Your look and your personality,
Why aren't you a caricature yet?
because it's so rich it's ripe with being rich for stuff.
And I think just doing the doing the shows, doing those social distance shows, and doing some of this, and a lot of work on myself. I'm slowly starting to get a feel for what that is. A lot of it, for the last 30 years, it's just like, well, I do what I do. I don't know. And now now I think the big thing for my career was that for the first 20 years or so, I thought I was just a comic, so I would write a lot of stuff with aggression in it, a lot of sarcasm, a lot of stuff, and it just didn't fit my personality.
What's the most aggressive joke you wrote that you have since retired? Because I wouldn't call your style aggressive.
No, a lot of jokes,
Regressive, maybe.
a lot of jokes just with that observational with a sarcastic edge, sort of like a Leno. I mean, Leno was a huge influence. He was the guy when I started doing comedy.
Yeah, that's what my dad tells me too. But he was
so
he was the
a lot of-
edgiest, badass comedian.
Rolling up the the sleeves of the so what the hell is with this thing? What's that guy doing? And it was.
Just can't picture it.
Well, that's actually the impression I'm doing when I tell the story about the heckler we had.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and pacing and loud, and what's the deal with Dunkin' Donuts, and what the this old lady's driving in front of me. I would have who's a good driver? Only this old lady, good drivers in front of me. Big Buick, little head, looks like someone put grapefruit on the seat rest, for God's sakes. It's like, that's okay, it's a description, but it's not really me. It's
Yes.
it's me being agitated about something because I think that's what comedians do.
Hey, Rick, were you in the New Yorker one time?
There was a cartoon of me in the New Yorker.
Really?
Matt Diffie was doing, a friend of Eugene's. He started out doing some stand-up comedy at the studio, and the first
Which studio?
The Hong Kong, and the first cartoon he sold to the New Yorker was a salesman standing in front of a secretary, and the secretary says, "I'm sorry, Mr. Jenkins just doesn't like you." He said it was a reference to how he would feel anytime he called for dates. That I was just gonna go like, look, no, I just don't like you. No, I'm not gonna book you.
People have this impression of you that you hate them.
I think going back to the father figure thing, I think a lot of people just project. I'm blank enough that I think a lot of people project. If you're not getting weekend spots, you assume it's because I hate you.
And have you even bothered correcting that impression? Or are you like, whatever, I'll let it lie. They can think what they want to think.
I think, you sort of like let them think what they want to think. That says more about them. I mean, if it's because I've done something, bad or stupid, or said something that was, that.
Do you think it hurts more for somebody to think that you don't like them, or do you think it hurts more for them to think that you just don't think they're funny? I think it's possible the second one hurts more to think, so they probably would rather you just hated them.
Yeah.
But who knows?
But again, I think that's something they project onto it.
Yeah.
I mean, I sit and watch those open mics, or at least used to, those open mics of 60, 70 comedians, and I just have a ball. I find everybody funny. Well, you guys know this. If there's a problem with the bookings, it's you guys have to tell me, like, hey, that person's not that good. I'm like, yeah, but I like them. It's
Don't worry, we do.
Yeah, I want to see. Yeah, I'd like to see more of that. I'd like to see more of and that's why I would love to have shows of 60 people every time. I would love to put on everybody. I think everybody has something funny they can bring to the table, but there's just not enough room.
Brett had that idea for that vaudeville show right before we couldn't do that.
Yeah.
All
The
right.
problem with vaudeville shows is you need a good juggler and a good singer and a good comedian, and if you've got 8 different fields and good people in each, it's just you're dealing with a lot of professionals, and it's prohibitive, expensive.
So
What
couldn't
is a
we
vaudeville
just?
show? Rick,
The
explain it to us.
The original vaudeville shows were, it was like 8 shows a day. Would start, I think it was 11 performers, and you would have only one comedian. You would have one girl singer. You'd have one animal act. You'd have one, and the show would just start around noon or something, and cycle through the day, so that each performer would be doing a 20-minute set 8 times a day. for 6 days, and then Monday was the day you would travel to the next town. So you would get a contract for, 2 months or 3 months or whatever, and just travel around doing that. So it was like television, something different on each channel. And interestingly, the last act was always the headline, quote unquote headliner, was always the worst act, because they wanted people to get so pissed at that last act that they would leave, so there'd be room for more people to come in at the beginning of the show. And that's where like throwing rotten fruit and tomatoes comes from, because there was no television. So for lunch, you would say, all right, I'll spend an extra 5 cents and watch the show while I have lunch. And if the act sucked, you're not going to throw your good food at them. You're going to take the rotten tomatoes and throw that at the act.
Have you ever considered bringing that trend back to our club? So
Oh,
I already know that we close with the worst performer. So that is a nice,
You mean the host?
nice little,
Yeah,
nice
the
little
host
thing.
closes the show, so we do that.
It's nice. No, Rick.
We could partner with In-Season Food Shop, and we could sell really good cabbage, whole grain cabbage, to throw.
Maybe we'll do it for the 25th, but that was something I wanted to do for the 20th anniversary. Do at least a day of like a vaudeville show where we would have 11 acts perform 8 times in the day at like 10 minutes each or something, and just sell 1 ticket, and you could come in and stay as long as you wanted or come back or whatever. That would be like a day pass.
With throwing food.
Throwing food. Well, that's where the term green room comes from. The green room where the comedians prepare, because if you had 2 hours between your 10-minute sets all day long, you'd go out and walk around town or whatever, have lunch or whatever, and performers would miss their cue. So they started, one of the really smart producers put a pool table in the dressing room. The green felt made it the green room so that the performers would stay and play pool between the acts, so that they wouldn't miss their cue. So it's like, all right, let's give them a pinball game or something to keep them in the theater, so that we know they're ready when they're supposed to go on.
I would love to have a pool table in the club.
Yeah.
Where would it go though?
It could fit.
We could put it inside.
It could fit in the bar. It just would take up that entire.
Yeah.
Instead of having a seating area, you just have a pool area.
Well, if you remember, when
I would be pro that.
When we opened, we had a little tabletop pool table thing.
Yeah, but I want the real deal. I crave the real thing.
Right. My thinking was to put that in the green room as sort of a homage, as a little game thing. But
did anyone get the reference?
Oh, no one gets the reference. But people were like, oh.
It's not for that. It's for me to know.
Oh, there's a lot of stuff around here that.
Yeah, but it's just that you are.
Yeah, my little obsessive mind saying.
Yeah. Like what? What's another thing that, say, Eli and I don't understand the significance of that is in the club?
How much time do you have?
Yeah, exactly. I go over a lot of that stuff. Well, I mean, just the little box I have on the desk. That's because Carson had a little cigarette case there. But this one is the one thing I got from Rich Seisler. After he passed away, we were able to go through his house and find, something we wanted. And I found that and said, oh, that would be perfect. So I have that on the desk to remind me of a comic who was a good friend and really helped me out getting started. So, and the pictures and the memorabilia, everything here is, part of my community.
They're your children, you could say.
Yeah. Yeah,
the pictures on the wall.
Just wait until you guys get tired of comedy and move on. I'll see what I have for you.
Oh,
I don't think I'll actually ever get tired of comedy.
I already am, and I'm still here. So.
Well, you're over there.
It is, of course, our 50th episode of the show. We all remember 50 weeks ago from this very day when we started the show back in January 2019. We said it's all building to this. We're going to do this show extremely consistently, once a week. We're not going to miss any weeks, and we're not going to quit the podcast and then bring it back.
We would never do such a thing.
Consistently for 50 weeks, and now here we are, 50 weeks later in June 2020, and we've made it. Now, Rick, you might recall your 50th birthday almost 9 years ago.
Yeah.
not to.
As of Saturday.
That's
Sunday.
right. So you are turning 59. No, really, on June 21st. And this podcast turned 50 today. Now, you might recall on your 50th birthday, a lot of comics got together and recorded you some nice messages.
Yeah.
Some well-wishing, some happy birthdays. And I thought, gee, wouldn't it be nice if I reached out to those same comedians to have them wish our very good podcast a happy 50th birthday?
Yeah.
And oh, good. Rosa chose to tune back in for this part. I have been looking over. Sometimes she switches over to TikTok, and I'm like, uh-oh, the show's getting boring. But now she's watching again.
We're better than TikTok. How about
And
that?
I can do my very real bit. These are all recordings I'm about to play for you. It might look like my mouth is moving. It might look like my mouth is making sound, but it is recordings of very famous comedians wishing us a happy birthday. You might say to yourself, why not just ask them to come on the podcast? Wouldn't that be a much better use of everyone's time? Well, no. Coming on the podcast could take up to 30 minutes to an hour. Recording a message that is really them takes no time at all, and you'll see what I mean when I play all these clips. So
I can't wait.
So let me just load up the first clip here.
Beep, boop, boop.
Yep, tappity, tappity, click, 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 clack, 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 clack. All right, this one looks like it's from Mike Birbiglia. How exciting!
Oh,
and let
God.
me just double click play, and here we go. Hi, Rick. It's Mike Birbiglia. Happy birthday to you and your podcast. All right, I gotta go watch my kid. He's the new one. You know what I mean? Waka waka. Wow.
Oh, Mike, thanks for taking the time. You have a new book out this week. That's great.
Are you talking to? It was a recording. Are you talking to him?
I'm pointing out that he has a new book out. It's
Isn't
great
it
that-
weird that he actually made a recording that was a response to Rick's question just now?
As busy as he is, he took time out. That's really...
He just emailed us a new file. Let me play it. Hey, Mike Birbiglia. Matt Pandemiglia again. I forgot to plug my new book. I forget what it's called, but I bet Rick knows. All right, bye. Wow. That was crazy.
Yeah.
He didn't even say happy birthday again. That was like when Jimmy Tingle was hosting one of our shows and the lights went down and then he said, no, bring the lights back up. I forgot to plug my upcoming show. And so while everyone was standing up to leave, the lights went back down.
The old whoopsie plugsy.
And he plugged his show again. So it's nice to see Mike Birbiglia kind of taking some lessons from the classics. So thank you, Mike. That was very nice. All right, let's see. This next one is from Gary Goldman. Hi, Rick. It's Gary. I'm kind of feeling not my best today. So I just want to say happy birthday and sorry this message is kind of flat. Oh, wow. Gary. Well, it's nice to see that he's working through the depression again to say happy birthday to Rick.
What a great guy.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I got another email from Gary. Oh, and hey, it's Gary again. I also want to say happy birthday to the podcast. Oh, Gary, thank you so much. It's so nice. Gary, do you remember when we had you on the podcast and the audio was so unlistenable but no one got anything out of it? So that was from Gary. What'd you think of that one, Rick? Pretty nice, huh?
Yeah, it sounds like he's working on a new special.
Yeah, the Greater Depression. Oh my gosh, it's Jen Kirkman now. Click, click. Hey, Rick, it's Jen Kirkman. Happy birthday, and also to the podcast. Talk to you later. Wow, Jen Kirkman.
Wow, I can't believe she took time out of her day to send that to us.
It is nice that these people are doing it. I do wish there was more like of their personality in them. Like Mike Birbiglia at least like made some references to like, you know, the new one was one of his specials, and then when he called himself Matt Pandemiglia, that of course is a reference to his character from his movie. But Gary and Jen are just kind of flat and not saying much. So
You know, that if they're willing to do this favor for us, I don't think we should be criticizing them.
You're right. You're right.
Thankful for what we've got.
All right, let's see. This says it's from Gene from Bob's Burgers. Wow! Happy birthday, Rick, and happy podcast. Wow. Gene, the little animated boy who's our friend. How cool. So that's our 50th birthday well wishes section. It's really exciting that we got all these great comedians to respond to my email and record nice things for us.
Yeah.
Rick,
That
I'm
was
gonna
pretty
ask you to
fantastic.
send them thank you notes.
Okay, sure.
Do you think Gary's gonna get mad?
No.
I don't think so. No.
I don't think he's gonna hear it. So that's the bit, of course. Told you it would take up less time than I had planned for in my head because here's the thing with me and doing bits. I start doing them and then I'm like, oh, this sucks. I better back out of this real quick. And so they don't last long, nor do they have much character, nor are they allowed really to blossom
You write them out
into
for
anything.
the person?
Oh yeah.
Does that mean that you had a lot more planned?
I had the idea of doing more planned. Oh my gosh, I just got another email.
Oh God.
This is from Chris Oak. Oh, I don't know if we should play this one, guys.
Clicking on that could be a mistake. Just the browser history would be an error.
I don't even like that he sent me an email. I certainly didn't reach out to him to ask for one.
I'm surprised they allowed him to have a computer in prison.
They have a lot more
All right.
computers in prison now for video calls. I
Yeah,
think.
Rick,
Get with the
No,
prison.
no.
grow up.
Get with the prison times.
No, he would not be allowed.
But he wouldn't be allowed. That's true, because of the nature of his crimes.
Exactly.
Cool.
So that was the good bit. Oh my gosh, we got another email. Who do you think it's from, Rick? If you had to guess.
Kirsten Sims.
Oh God.
No, it wasn't from her. If you had to guess again.
Would be the best one.
Not best, just...
Canavan.
What's that?
Rick Canavan.
Hey guys, it's Rick Canavan. Just calling to say happy birthday to the podcast only, not to Rick. Well, that's nice. Finally, we got one that was... Because I wrote these people and I said, will you do a nice message about the podcast? And if you wanted to include Rick's birthday as an afterthought, that's fine too. And so far, it seemed that the podcast was the afterthought, except for when Rick Canavan wrote it. So thank you. Thank you to Rick. Eli, who do you... Oh, we just got another email, Eli. Who do you think it's from?
Is it from me?
Oh my gosh, let me double click it. Hey guys, it's me, Eli. Happy birthday to us. We did it. It's been 50 years and we've never looked prettier and we've never sounded shittier. Talk to you soon.
Wow.
That sounds like me.
Well, because it was you, and I love that you were able to work in your catchphrase in there.
Sounds like shit.
No, we've never been prettier and we've never sounded shittier. You say that all the time. Or you used to before the pandemic.
Only when I sign off my
Girlfriend
emails.
started changing you. What's that?
Only when I sign off my emails. It's my
That is
signature.
your email signature.
Yeah.
For your business email account. So yeah, it's our 50th birthday. We've had a lot of really good memories on this podcast. We've had some bad memories on the podcast.
I don't recall any bad ones.
I do. But I'm very happy to hear that you don't.
What looking out? So it's almost a year. So looking over, what would you
Almost
say
1
is
year.
the high point?
The high point?
What's that?
Probably for me, half of the second time we got Mike Kaplan.
Half?
The high point. Yeah, because I kind of got tired of him. But the first half was just incredible. Oh my gosh, Mike Kaplan said an email. It's me, Mike. Happy birthday to everyone. And everyone, boy, where does that come from? Is there everyone? What about every two? Why not two of me, two of you? Oh, Mike, thank you very much. He's kind of speedy. Our friend thought he was on cocaine when they watched the last show with him. They thought,
Canavan's calling me again. I'm not going to answer it.
you should answer it.
Do you want?
Yeah,
Is there a way to catch him in?
No.
there is, but he doesn't want to be.
Oh,
I mean, via Zoom, yeah.
Yeah, but he doesn't want that. Put him on speaker and hold him up to the mic. It's our birthday. We're allowed a treat.
yeah. Is there a
Hey,
way-
buddy, you're on the podcast. What's up?
I was just calling to say a happy birthday specifically to the podcast, and nothing else. Big fan of your podcast and Eddie's podcast.
Love you, buddy.
Oh, Rick, it's so nice of you to say so.
I don't think he can. I don't think he can hear you guys. I have headphones on. Remember?
All right. Well, relay that message to him, please, personally from me.
He already hung up.
How nice is that? And didn't he sound just like the recording he sent over email? Now the high point for real.
I couldn't tell the difference. It was because it was him both times.
Honestly, for me, truly, probably the high point was somehow tricking Rob Delaney into standing in an office with me for 10 minutes while I asked him questions into my phone, and then playing that on the show.
Did he send us an email too?
What? He didn't. He didn't. He never got back to me, unfortunately. And that could be because he doesn't remember me, and I know that for a fact because he then came back to the studio, I don't know, 7-8 months later, and introduced himself to me, even though we had spent 10 very close minutes together in the office. Eli, what's been the high point for you, my friend?
The high point for the podcast?
Yeah, or in life. Who cares?
Probably when my mom was on the podcast.
That was a good one, actually. Yeah, that was one of our good ones for sure.
And I think specifically when both my mom's phone went off and then my dad's phone went off during the recording.
Mm-hmm.
That was great.
Yeah.
You get to hear both of their ringtones.
Oh, good. Rose is laughing at something that happened between 30 seconds and a minute ago, so it's a good sign. What about you, Rick? What was the high point for you besides this episode? This one doesn't count. I know this is our best work yet. Definitely does not feel as hungover as I am.
And that's a good point. Can people go back and listen to these?
Yeah.
Nope.
No? Okay. Then, I think it was when we had... I think it was the time Colbert and Fallon came on and did a song.
That was a good one. I love this. Do you remember what song they did?
I don't know. I think they sent it to you in an email.
It was, you know what? Let me pull it up. Oh, say, can you see? My name's Stephen Colbert, and I'm Jimmy Fallon, and we love you, Rick Jenkins. Happy birthday to the show. We're from the other shows, and we are pretty bad at hosting late night TV. Wow, Rick. Stephen and Jimmy, thank you so much, guys.
I would
Wasn't
say,
that nice?
I think the Goldman interview, because specifically
It was so hard to hear.
fact that, well, it was hard to hear, but the
It was like a
producer,
hidden gem.
the guy who was producing and directing his special,
Mike Bonfiglio.
yeah, he came on, and I didn't even realize that he had directed the Gary Shandling one, and he had done 30 for. I mean, his Seinfeld, the amount he had worked with, the really big people in the industry, and some insights about working with them. I thought that was, unexpected. I expected Gary to be terrific because he always is, but all of a sudden to have, hey, you standing over there, what's with you? And to get that much out of it, I thought you did a good job.
Yeah, that was great. It's really a shame that no one was able to hear it because it fucked up at the recording.
And
But boy, did
unfortunately,
I have a nice time chatting with them. Yep. Ooh, you know who I hate, to be honest?
depends.
Jerry Seinfeld.
Did you get an email from him?
No, and that's why I hate him. Hang on, I think I did. What's the deal with birthdays? It's like, I'm sorry, I was born 50 years ago. I don't come out of a vagina every year. Why not call it a you were born day, not a birthday? Hibbity hibbity hop hop.
Did you hear his interview with Marin?
Yeah, in fact, I want to play some.
Did it sound exactly like that?
So who are your guys? Oh, I love the big Easter Bunny, hibbity hibbity hop hop. He was probably my big guy. And Pop Tarts. It's like, I'm sorry, is this a pop song or a tart? Hibbity hibbity hop hop. Wow. And then, Eli, was that from the book? Is that in the book?
I don't know what book it. If I open that book and that quote's in there, I'm putting the book in the toilet.
The haunted book. Rick, who do you hate?
It's not just that he's not your favorite; it's that you actively dislike him.
Despise him.
Something you can point to.
What's that?
As a student of comedy and a really good analyst of comedy, is there things you can point to of things you don't like that he does wrong or too much or whatever?
Yeah, I don't like his shirt.
What gets to you?
His shirt.
What's the deal with that shirt?
I don't like it. That's the deal. Who's the analyst? I'm the analyst of comedy?
Yeah.
Danny Hatch, the
Oh.
analyst of comedy.
I listen to the same episodes of the same podcast over and over again, and that is
This one.
this one. I specifically listen to this episode only because it's our best work.
Do you listen to a podcast over again?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. By the way, Canavan commented that his favorite episode is when you talked about the show that you hosted, Danny.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
When we did the recap of your hosting.
Oh sure. Yes. Yeah, that was a good one.
Wait, was this the Friday night hosting or the you took your pants off open mic hosting?
No, this either. It was my first. It was a Wednesday night. It was my first time hosting here. So Eli likes to bring up this thing where I took my pants off on stage, tries to make me sound like I'm some kind of big creep. I'm not, in that regard.
I am, when it comes to comedy, I am pro taking the pants off.
The joke was, Rick is out of town. Rick Jenkins is not here tonight, so I'm hosting the open mic. A funny thing about Rick is that he won't let you perform on stage if you're wearing shorts. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off my pants on stage and then put on shorts and see how they feel. And that's exactly what I did. So it wasn't creepy. I wasn't, flash and dong. None of that silliness.
Very tasteful.
Boxer
I was
briefs.
impressed.
What's that?
It was very tasteful. I was impressed.
Yes, of course. Everything I do is tasteful. Right down to this podcast. Oh my God, Kevin Smith just sent us an email. Let's Kevin.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of his either. I don't know if you could tell by the recording you just sent. But I think he's
When you listen over again to a podcast, what are you listening for?
Kevin Smith impressions?
But maybe
I don't know. Maybe what?
Maybe you just missed the Kevin Smith impressions, or you better listen to it again.
Gotta add it in there.
They're everywhere, Rick. People are just ignoring them, but you've got to really be a student and a fine analyst of comedy to pick up on the subtle Kevin Smith references that you can find in pretty much any podcast. What do I like to listen for when I listen to a podcast? I like to listen to things as if I'm a different person.
What?
And I like to listen through their ears.
Who do you imagine you're listening as?
Usually Rick, sometimes Eli, often Kevin Smith.
Do you put
That's
on?
kind of my trifecta.
Do you also
And here's
dress
the
up
thing.
to fit the character, fit the profile?
Kevin, yes, I do. I get some jean shorts that go down to my shins,
And a hockey jersey.
a hockey jersey, and I get super duper high. And that's when I dress up as Rick. For Kevin Smith, I go work at a convenience store, like they did in that one movie.
Eli, do you watch or listen to your sets afterwards?
It's
What are you looking for?
been a while since I've been able to do that, but
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I try to. I can't say I've done it every time. It's definitely hard to watch your own set.
Yeah. Is there anything specific you're looking for or trying to get out of watching it?
Once I get past hating the sound of my own voice, it's really I look to see how I'm moving because I'll see that I was standing in one place for too long. I guess I was talking to one audience member instead of looking at everybody. I just look for just the basics. I can't do much about the material other than just keep trying it.
Yeah. I think that's my advice to comics when they're watching their stuff is that try and find one or two specific things you're looking for. If you just watch it, you go like, wow, I'm better than I thought, but really terrible. It's like oh, I'm not as bad as I thought or as good as I thought.
When I watch my sets, it's like quit.
Quit doing comedy or quit doing that bit?
Just quit. Find something and quit it. It's I write in my notes to quit.
Either of you two dum-dums listen to these podcasts? Analyze your own performances?
I listened to the one with my mom.
What'd you think? How did I do on that one?
You did great, Daddy. You did just fine.
Yay!
Yeah,
No, but really,
I listen to every podcast and watch every show.
do you enjoy that?
Yes.
Fucking nerd. Jesus. Get a life, bro.
Is my life.
Speaking of shows to watch, we're going to be doing another one this Saturday. Our last show was to many
Oh,
degrees a surprising success.
we got a comment for you, Danny.
Oh, okay.
Kevin Doug Fitzgerald says, you seem to hate a lot.
Well, if that's so fucking true, Kevin Doug Fitzgerald, why do I have conversations with you then? If I'm such a hater.
He also says he also wondered how many hockey jerseys you have for your Kevin Smith impressions.
Is there a way we can enable chat and people can
In Zoom? No,
No.
it's on Facebook. Why? Are you? Do you want to interact with our loyal legions of listeners?
It's on the Facebook video.
Yeah, Rick, pull up the Facebook video. Have it playing in the background. Make a big loud echo of it everyone hates. Please don't do that, though.
It's on our Facebook page?
Yeah,
Yes.
under videos.
Now, Rick, I can see you in the reflection of your glasses pulling up Facebook to play the video.
Oh, you're
And
on
it's
your
going to
computer?
create an echo.
Oh yeah.
You can read the comments after the fact. I always do.
All right.
Yeah, that's kind of. I have a whole separate screen here that's muted to monitor the comments.
Yeah. Any other good comments? Besides Doug saying I seem to hate a lot. How dare he? He doesn't even know me, barely.
Not
He
yet.
knows me a little.
We're all caught up on comments.
Okay. Then I'll wait.
Pretty lightly commented upon show, eh?
The others were Canavans, but we're caught up on the Canavans.
We better do something real controversial to stir up the pot. Get
In
people talking.
3, 2, 1, Danny, go.
Oh
Well, I-
my gosh. What's that?
Lots of recommendations and stuff.
Yeah, we can do
Recommendations?
that. God, fucking keep your pants on, bro. It's not. Like
Yeah, it's
this
just
one.
our only actual segment that we have on the show.
Yeah, segments on podcasts. I'm sorry, overrated. What is this? A book report you're doing? No, it's a podcast. Quit acting like you're so good, because it's insulting to me when you do that. Because you're implying that I'm not good.
We should bring in a
Take me
segment.
seriously.
No podcast has ever had a segment where they watch World Star hip hop clips.
Oh, sure they do.
I know that was
Every
facetious.
So last week, a couple weeks ago, we did our first live stream show. It was, as I said, a surprising success. I think we were all expecting it to not go as well, or at least I was, because I'm a pessimist, and I thought it went very well. So to celebrate that fact, and to celebrate our show's 50th birthday, and to celebrate Rick's 59th birthday, no, really, we're doing another one this Saturday at 8 p.m. only on our website or on Zoom. You can buy tickets now via our website. Tell them who we'll have, Eli. Who's going to be on the big show this weekend?
We've got a great show. We're going to have Christian Finnegan.
Christian Finnegan from this podcast?
That's his credits, yeah. Bethany Van Delft.
Wow.
She's
From
not.
Moth?
She will be from this
She's on there, and
podcast
she's on
someday.
Moth. Yeah, we'll get her on.
Someday she'll be from this podcast. We
She's
have
playing hard to get.
Emma Willman.
I'm a woman from other stuff that we've done here.
Crazy Ex-Girlfriend.
Crazy Rich Asians she was in. Yeah, all the movies.
We have Kenise Mobley too.
East Mobley, she lives in New York now. How's that possible, Eli?
We bought her a plane ticket. Yep, it's in our contract.
All right.
And Sean Connolly is also going to be on the show.
Sean Connolly, recently married, right?
Yes. Oh no, and they are having a child.
Got a bun in the oven. Now there's a guy who's going to be a dad. You jealous, Rick?
He's also he was going to be comic in residence, so that's why we have him on this show. So.
Yeah, he was going to be comic in residence this month.
Yep.
Yep. So it's going to be... How are we doing that, by the way? We're going to... Once we can reopen again, we'll let the people who were supposed to be comic in residence have another crack at it?
Once we get a better idea of when we'll be able to open, we'll plan out and reach out to people, be like, does this month work for you instead? We'll reschedule people's months. And I think we should also reschedule...
Dana's,
yeah.
Cairns.
Yes.
Yeah, Dana Cairns was our March comic in residence. She, of course, got kind of screwed by us closing.
She had a great first run.
Here's how I think we should make up for lost time once we can reopen. Everyone, instead of having the comics go on one at a time, because who's got time for that? We get 7 microphones, and all the comics just do their sets all at once. and it's like super stereo. We'll call it the Comedy Studio, now in super stereo.
What if we did this? What if we had one comic on stage, but all the other comics are in the green room, and each of them also has a microphone and can talk over the other person's set whenever they feel like?
Now, Eli, I want to consider it. I do, but it sounds like it could be jarring.
Jarring?
Yes.
But it wouldn't be jarring to have them all on stage at the same time?
No, because then I'm looking at them, Eli. I can see who's talking. I'm not scared like, oh my gosh, is the club haunted?
Having an existential crisis?
Yeah, what if his voice is? Am I having a stroke or an existential crisis? What do you think, Rick? Whose idea is better?
I think it both
Hit us
sound-
against each other.
both sound like a Zoom call where everyone's talking at once.
Mm-hmm.
We want to capture the essence
We're
of
already
a...
doing that.
We've gotten better at it. It's almost as if the limitations have forced us to limit our own talking. I don't know. That one doesn't track. Oh my gosh, we got another email. It's from freaking Louis C.K. Into the garbage. Nice try, Louis. Not gonna read that one.
Was it
Donate
sticky?
another- donate-
Was it a sticky email?
Ew. No, it said junk mail. Donate another $8,000 to the club, and we'll play your stupid clip on the show. No, I'm sorry.
10,000.
But I'm not sorry. It's $10,000. Yes. All right. Well, what a shame to end the episode on joke about Louis C.K. So instead, what we're gonna end it on is comedy recommendations. Ooh, everyone's favorite. Rick, you seem like you're bursting at the gills to get some out. Why don't you get us started, Pony Boy?
I have a couple.
Good.
There's a little blog. Wendy Liebman, Alonzo Bolden, Jimmy Schubert. A bunch of people were asked how they became a comedian, and there's just a little 3 or 4 paragraph things, and it's called "How I Became a Comedian or Died Trying," and you can just find that online, and they're cute little things. And a friend of ours, a comedian, Desiree Amber, actually started a page of Blue Frog Collective, and she's making custom-made masks with a little space for the filter and everything. And as you know, I'm a big proponent of trying to keep as much work among our friends as I can. And I'm going to get a couple masks from Desiree.
Nice.
BlueFrogCollective.com.
Great.
Very nice.
That will count as your local business recommendation as well, won't it?
And also, if you have a
Okay.
chance, Bill Scott Heron, musician. I've been listening to some of my old vinyl from from a previous turbulent time, and Gil Scott Heron, mostly known for doing the song "The Revolution Will Not Be Televised."
Mm-hmm.
If you're gonna start there, but I was actually listening to some of his old stuff, and he has something called the history of history of Black people in Africa, and it's kind of the same. He's mostly a jazz musician, but it's spoken word poetry with the music over that. So a lot of people trace rap back to that first beginning, and because the topic is really relevant and the music is really good. If you have a chance to go back and listen to some stuff by Gil Scott Heron, I would recommend that.
What a great recommendation. I do love that song, The Revolution Will Not Be Televised. I don't know much beyond that. So I'll have to dig into it. I'll have to get my Gil Scott Heron fill. Great song by LCD Sound System. There's a part in it called Losing My Edge. And they, at one point, everyone in the band sings, Gil Scott Heron. And it's pretty fun. All right, Eli, what about you?
For a comedy recommendation, have you two watched the new Dave Chappelle special that came out recently?
I have not yet. How was it? Rosa watched it. Yeah, I didn't watch it
846.
yet.
It's called 846. It's really good. I can't say it has a whole lot of jokes in it, but it's insanely powerful. I would highly recommend it. Anything, I do think Dave is the best comic alive right now.
It takes longer than 8 minutes and 46 seconds to watch it.
It's a 30-minute video, but yeah, it's called 846.
Third time I've tried that joke, it hasn't worked. And
Yeah, I can't imagine why. And this is on YouTube.
Yeah, you can find it on YouTube. It's a Netflix, but you can find it. It's on YouTube. It's really good. I think it's everyone should watch it.
He does it as an outdoor concert, which is
Mhm.
interesting, so that people are spaced and wearing masks.
It looks beautiful as far as a socially distant stage goes. It looks great. And then for my local business recommendation, Great Scott now is actually taking. You can invest in Great Scott to try and save it. I think go to mainvest.com and you can invest in Great Scott to keep it going.
Do you guys remember that fake Twitter account for like a new condo that was going to take over Great Scott that got everyone pissed off?
Yeah.
No, I don't remember that.
It's very funny.
It is very funny. I think it's called Scott or something on Twitter. It's pretty good satire because a lot of people fell for it.
Speaking of something that sounds like satire, I wanted to bring up, not really a recommendation, but did you guys hear about this eBay thing? There's a couple.
Yeah, you can bid on items and you can do it all over the computer.
Couple Natick was doing a newsletter, and they had some things critical about eBay, and the eBay CEO was involved, and 5 of the high-price executives got together, and they started sending them like live cockroaches and pig masks, and started hate mail and everything. The Attorney General is suing, has arrested these people, and it was the 5 high-level executives in eBay, like flying to Boston and following these people around and telling them that they were going to be killed, and check out eBay. It's
How much did they bid on those
eBay.
cockroaches? Was it like
it's the funniest, most compelling, really scary fucking story. These people spent they were like vice presidents of eBay and figured out how to fuck with these 2 people putting out an online newsletter.
Are you still gonna buy suits and stuff on eBay?
I don't know. The CEO actually resigned about 4 months ago when it was discovered that the FBI was looking into it. So, yeah, the eBay saying, "Oh, it was rogue employees," sort of thing.
Roach employees.
I don't know.
And this is just because these people said some mean things about eBay in a newsletter?
Yeah. They have the FBI has the CEO of eBay online on tape because the couple said something about the eBay Amazon deal or something or other, and the CEO called this group of executives and said, "If you're going to take down that couple, do it now." It's like,
I see a new Tiger King coming.
yeah.
Oh boy,
Yeah.
be a great
Well,
Netflix documentary.
Like live spiders. They
I feel like I got the gist.
yeah.
The gist, Scott Heron. No, I will look it up. That's pretty horrifying.
Yeah.
And I love reading bad things on the internet. Of course.
It just goes to show you, if you ever get a rogue box in the mail, make sure to shake it really hard.
You guys remember glitter bombing?
I do.
Mhm.
I think it would be
You
a
ever heard
lot
about this,
worse
Rick?
if it was full of glitter and roaches.
Ugh, glitter and roaches.
I also heard about the Unabomber. So there's a long history of this.
Well, I would like to recommend. I've certainly, I think, spoken positively of it, but I don't think I've recommended it before. The FX program, What We Do in the Shadows.
Oh yeah, that show is great.
It's hysterical. Rosa was not into it for a little bit, but then we started watching it from the beginning, and she is now a fan. It's very funny. I think it's even better than the movie. We watched the movie the other night that it's based on, which stars Jermaine Clement from Flight of the Conchords and Taika Waititi. It was written and directed by them. I think the show's better than the movie. It's a very funny show. It's about vampires, and they live in a house in Staten Island in the present day, and it's very good. Highly recommend.
It's
Highly recommend.
pretty funny.
Excuse me. Yeah, I know that, Eli. I just got
Oh,
done
fucking
saying that.
Son of a bitch.
And no, please don't be sorry.
God damn it.
Just do
I
better.
fucked up again.
And for a local business, I'd like to recommend the store Portugalia in Fall River, Massachusetts. It's a Portuguese marketplace where you can get some beer that I like a lot that is only available in Portugal or other places, but not around here. And you can go to Portugalia in Fall River. It's located very close to Lizzie Borden's grave. The reason I know that is because we were visiting Rose's aunt and uncle safely, and they live very close to Lizzie Borden's grave, which was kind of a shocker.
Whoa.
So come to Fall River, Massachusetts, stock up on some Sagres beer, some Vino Verde wine, a big thing of olive oil, and then check out Lizzie Borden's grave. Lizzie Borden took an axe. The end.
Also, I want to just give everyone a heads up. I've been talking to the vendors around Bow Market, and some of them are reopening. The In Fresh downstairs is 7 days a week from 8 till 8. The beer garden is open and back. I think most of them are going to sort of do it quietly and then try and do one big reopening of the entire market. But at least 4 or 5 of the vendors are now open and looking to try and have your business help them get through this.
So if you live in Somerville, go to Bow Market. Buy stuff.
Yeah, I've heard good things about that place.
Do it.
While you're there, fucking loot the comedy club.
There's nothing there.
Money.
I'll be here.
All right, guys. Well, this is a pretty good one.
Okay. One of your top 10s?
One of my top 10s. I don't know about that, but I'll tell you this, Rick. 100% is in my top 51 episodes of this podcast of all time. For now. And that includes the one that I recorded and then deleted. That was me by myself. So, hey, guys. Thanks for doing it. 50 years. Look at us. Looking pretty good. And, oh, my gosh, I just got another email. It's from Pete Holmes. Shall we see what Pete Holmes has to say to close out the show?
Oh, boy.
Tippity tappity tappity tippity tippity tappity hippity hoppity. Shut up, Jerry Seinfeld. All right, here we go. Hey guys, it's me, Pete Holmes, and I just wanted to say I'm so sorry to Malia Obama. She is a wonderful person, and I was wrong to yell at her. Wow, Pete. Oh, I'm sorry, I accidentally hit pause. There's a little bit more to the clip. And happy birthday to the show and to Rick. Wow, Pete, thank you so much. That was so nice, and I'm sure Malia Obama really would appreciate hearing that. She was one of the 140 people who listened to this podcast.
Are you sure you also didn't get an email from Malia Obama?
I did not.
No?
I have a filter for... She used to send me a lot of spam, and so I had her on my block list. All right, guys. Well, I think this one counts as a podcast.
It's a podcast.
And I'll see you later.
Uh,
tickets on our website to our show. Yes, please.
Stay on the Zoom call when we're done.
All right.
All right.
Ominous.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.